Yo, crypto nation and mining family. Oh, what's going on? What up? What up? What up? All you happy hashers out there, it's going on. See that we got Jason the Tiger Osborne. What's going on? What's going on? As you guys are sliding on in here, do not forget to smash that lizardy like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification. You know what YouTube's looking for. Any kind of engagement. Good, bad, ugly, just engage, right? What's going on? Jason dropping those FAs right off the bat. My dude. I mean, he's like, I challenge you to solo mine Bitcoin with all your Bitcoin ASICs until the halvening. I mean, even though it's not that far away, realistically, my circuit panel that's like right there. It's 100 amp breaker max. That's like the total house breaker. This house was built in like the beginning of this house was built in 1909 and then upgraded through the years. I've done the biggest portion of the upgrades to make it right. But I do have a 200 amp breaker here, but it would require hiring an electrician to really kind of re-kit this out. I mean, it's not a bad thing. I mean, realistically, it's not a horrible thing. And then I would have a whole lot more power to run a whole lot more equipment in that room. I mean, good God, if I had a true 100 amp designation in that room, praise the hashing gods for that, you know? Like, go ahead and pop that breaker. I used to do that all the time. Like, people would have to ask me if it was okay to turn the microwave on for more than 5 minutes. I forgot one day, and I turned down my compressor out in the garage. Yep, that tripped the whole breaker. 100 amp breaker. As soon as I'm outside filling up a tire, the compressor kicks on. I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 seconds goes by and it turns off. I was like, I comment, and then my wife comes out and goes, there's no power in the house. You tripped the breaker. And I'm like, what breaker? The main. Oh, wow. And she's like, I tried to flip it back on, but it's hot. I was like, that had to have been like an easy 100 amps right there. when that air compressor in my garage kicked on, that had to have just like whack it 100 amps and off you go. What's going on? Last piece to the puzzle. Long time no see, my dude. What's up? What's up? What will be the my sinuses have been junked up all day. That's what took me a little bit to come on live too. I got out of nowhere, I freaking start just dying. Like my sinuses are like draining down the back of my throat. Very unhappy. Too long, my man. Just chilling. That's cool. That's cool. Jason's like, what would be the most profitable thing on SHA-256 after Bitcoin is all lined up? What do you mean by that? All lined up? You mean where it's all mined up? Or was that a typo? I'm gonna suspect that was a typo. So when it's all mined up. So by the time that Bitcoin is mined up, give or take, it's gonna be around the year 2145, somewhere around there, right? So we won't particularly see that unfold in front of us, right? I mean, you're talking more than 100 years away before the last conceivable Bitcoin can be mined up. But before that, the new coin emission rate will be so low, you might as well say that there's no new coins being mined. It'll be so low on the emission rate, right? You're hoping for two things to be happening at that point. One, the price of Bitcoin has now hit a point that even a small amount of newly minted Bitcoin makes it worth mining. That's one. Two, you're hoping that there's enough adoption on the network that people are actually transacting as if it was as a new currency. Why would you need it to be doing that as a new currency? Because as long as people are utilizing the network, there'll always be, quote unquote, the miner fee. This miner fee is what the Bitcoin miners are supposed to be able to survive on. Right now, as it stands, the Bitcoin pricing is not in correlation with the mining fee that you would normally get. So there needs to be a little bit more efficiencies brought into the Bitcoin ecosystem, which will come in over time. Over time, Bitcoin's code will mature, and they will add in improvements onto the Bitcoin network that will help with guaranteeing transactions to be able to get through in a reasonable time frame. I mean, granted, I understand 10-minute block times, right? But how can you sit there and say, you can guarantee yourself to get in a reasonable block time with a reasonable gas fee? You have to have the Bitcoin ecosystem has to be a little bit more efficient. So that's why for now it's a hodl game. But you get closer to that last Bitcoin being newly minted Bitcoin, and you should be starting to see a point where, one, we're going to be dealing with such efficient mining hardware that you can run the stuff at your house without an issue and actually be able to participate in the network and have a reasonable rate of return for not only your investment but the electricity being used. Like, I am always using my Bitcoin for transactions for goods and services. I do as often as I can. As often as I can. I exchange my fiat into Bitcoin as quickly as I can. And over time, I will eventually transition over into being in a pure Bitcoin ecosystem, sure. But the rest of the ecosystem needs to catch up with that. That's going to take mass adoption. So until then, you're still operating in terms of a fiat world. So unfortunately, Bitcoin is just where I'm hedging my fiat so that I don't lose value while I'm storing my economic energy, right? Because we go to work, and when you work, you get paid. This is a representation of your economic energy being stored up in fiat currency. And at the same time, you have governments that will steal your economic energy away from you and have the balls to sit there and tax you on it. It's a hell of a Ponzi scheme. I mean, that's why we're in Bitcoin, because it is a Ponzi. The U.S. dollar is about as fake as a $3 bill. I have more faith in monopoly money than the U.S. dollar, and I know that's how a lot of people are, especially with the way that the world is today. I mean, it's crazy that in order for a Gen Xer to be able to own a house, he's got to make somewhere around $100,000, depending on where you're at. I mean, the top 20 or 22 states, the median average income in order to own a house is like $110,000 a year. It's like, no, hell no. So people aren't going to be able to afford a house until they're 40. Yeah, no, that's bullshit. There are better ways of doing things, but unfortunately, government's gonna, we're here to help. It's something you don't want to hear them say. They're going to try to help. They're going to make everything worse. Uh, and you need to be like everybody needs to be storing in gold, silver, or Bitcoin. Period. I don't care who you are. Save some up. You got kids, you should be getting your kids some gold, silver, and Bitcoin. Hedging your bets against the government. That's what that is. Bitcoin, gold, and silver is FU money to the government. Bitcoin's just a little bit more FU because I can walk across a border with my seed phrase in my mind. I can walk across a border with billions of dollars in Bitcoin in my head. You can't do that with gold or silver. You're going to come across a border and they're going to be like, the guy needs to start your car. It's like, it'll be like Nazi Germany as you cross the border. I needs to search the car. Stop, halt, and they're going to sit there. Oh, you have a lot of gold. The state now takes this. You are trying to flee our state with our money. You can't leave China with gold. Think about it. China will not let any Chinese person leave the country with gold. They will confiscate it at the border. There were Ukrainians that were leaving Ukraine when the war started up that had millions of dollars in gold confiscated from them at the border. If any of them had that sweet busy Bitcoin, it would have been no problem. Bitcoin is unstoppable FU money. True FU money. What up, son of a rabbit? Bringing those 22s over here. What up, what up? Do you think homes will continue to increase in price? Yes. If your measuring stick is dollars of any sort, does not matter what the fiat dollar is. If your measuring stick is in fiat dollars, then yes, the house prices will continue to always go up. If you look at it in terms of Bitcoin, price is actually going down. I mean, Bitcoin, it used to be houses were thousands of Bitcoin. I could buy houses for a couple of Bitcoin. Think about that. For a couple of Bitcoin, you could buy a whole house. That's purchasing power right there. So yeah, I think that the house prices will as the dollars get printed. Every dollar they print into circulation from the Federal Reserve dilutes the whole money pool. So how does this work, right? How does it that the government doesn't feel the burden of spending newly printed money? So here's how it really breaks down. A lot of people don't understand this whole process. That when you print a dollar, whoever gets that dollar first gets its full value of that dollar locked at that moment in time. The moment that somebody accepts that currency and puts it into their bank account, that's when the whole kit and caboodle goes to hell in a handbasket. Especially now. Pre-COVID, banks had to they had what they call fractional reserve lending. In other words, they had to keep at least 10% on reserve for every loan that they loaned out. After COVID, it's a free-for-all. All these banks are just making loans willy-nilly. They don't even keep any of the money. That's why if you try to pull 10 grand out of the bank account, one, they're going to ask you why. Two, you're going to have to wait a week because they've actually got to sell stuff in order to pull the cash. No bank even has 10 grand literally on hand. It's all fractional reserve lending. These banks are broke. If you guys don't understand this, the banks are broke. This is why you want a Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't rely on a bank account. All these poop coins have money, have fiat. You are basically sitting there and utilizing a different vehicle of fiat. These other altcoins have their fiat in banks that are broke. Think about it. What happened when Silicon Valley Bank started having issues? Oh, wow, all these cryptos started having problems right along with it. Imagine that, having a cryptocurrency directly linked to how a bank performs. It blows my mind on why people want a shitcoin. You are literally just dealing with fiat in a new vehicle. It's all the old steps with more complications. If you're going to shitcoin, stay in dollars. It's safer. You go into shitcoins to go gamble. It's shitcoins on altcoins are no different than the dollar because it's basically the dollar on fucking meth. Yeah, meth. So it has wicked rises, nasty crashes. There you go. That's me thinking on the fly. Automatic beats. What's going on? What's going on? So, yes, I mean, that's pretty much my little rant on that. I mean, it's like the world just needs to realize that the banks are broke. They loan out every dollar that goes into their accounts. They are afraid that too many people are going to understand this. If the world understood how the banking sector works, the banks would be out of business tomorrow. Period. They would be doomed if people understood how the banks truly operated. What, you think a bank's going to keep your money safe by making sure they don't even have it? Come on. You're talking about digital ones and zeros at the end of the day that state you supposedly identify with $1,000 in your bank account. Bank closes, guess who doesn't get their money? You. Oh, but you think your bank has FDIC insurance. It's like, nah, that's for the wealthy. They're going to cover the wealthy people's money like they did in Argentina. It's really funny. Argentina fucking defaulted on the Argentinian peso. Guess who pulled their money out in the middle of the night? All the rich people. Imagine that. Imagine that. The wealthy people had insurances. The regular common people woke up broke. Same thing happened in Greece. It's the same story over and over and over again. Little twists different because, nobody does it the same way twice. But man, they're the same. Smash that little like for me. Thank you, Sadie. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the world just needs to realize you need to get on $0 and be into gold, silver, or Bitcoin. I mean, this is not financial advice. I'm just basically telling him what I would do myself. I stay in dollars just long enough to pay the bills, and not a moment more. It's like having my money on the exchange. It's only going to be there as long as it needs to be. Otherwise, it's gone. So yeah. With that being said, guys, that's the rant of the day on that one. Let's get into other things here. So here we got TradingView. Some of the markets, S&P 500, Nasdaq. They're huge, giant markets. They're not going to do too much. The Nikkei 225, which is the Japanese market, being stable as usual. The British market doing good. I forget what the DAX market is. I think that's the Euro market. They're always going to be doing. They're going to be doing poorly because their energy price is too high due to the war. They're feeling the economic pressure of war. That is by their own fault for trying to support the United States in their proxy war with Russia. And now they're going to be supporting it through the Middle East because that's the other direction that that Russia gets oil into the Middle East. So they're trying to just disrupt Russia on both fronts. You see how this goes, right? Which war? Both. We're talking the Middle Eastern war, you know, with the whole Palestine and Gaza, and then you got the Ukraine, right? Those are both directions that Russia uses to get energy out of the country to be able to sell it abroad. Amazing, isn't it? And who's the one really suffering in the background on this? It's not Russia, and it's not Russians' market. Why? Russia produces their own stuff. Russia produces their own energy. Russia is not reliant on other countries. Now, do they have a trade agreement with China? Hell yeah. That'd be foolish of Russia not to want to be incorporated in with another country that is a solid producer of goods that is useful in other industries, including energy. Imagine that, right? So we're going to see that as Russia's market gets stronger, European market's going to get worse. And that's also going to hurt the British market. And it's already hurting our market. Look at our housing. Our housing's astronomical. It's like 42% up since 2020. Housing is up 42% year over year. If it's at 50% inflation year over year, that is called hyperinflation. And you know how they're going to sit there and hide the numbers at this point? Is that they're going to hide the numbers by making a small twist. Well, the prices were like that last year. Now the prices are normalized. We only have a 1% rise in price this year because the economy is doing so much better. My ass. It's like my wages stayed back in 2019. But inflation got away from me, and it doesn't matter how much I work, I'm never going to outpace inflation at this point. And God forbid if you are a 20 to 25-year-old trying to start a family out, you're screwed. There's no way that you can earn enough money as a 20-year-old that's going to make a difference outside of barely being able to put food on your plate in a shitty little apartment in the ghetto. That's basically what you're going to be pushing everybody, what everybody's going to be pushed into. Because I'll tell you what, minimum wage on top of inflation. Oh, like whenever I was 20, I was lucky that I made, I think, like $18,000 in a year before I met my wife. Now, when I was moving furniture, manual labor, I made good money. But trying to work in a store or something like that, trying to work indoors and not construction, yeah, I was lucky if I made $18,000 a year. Living in Chicago, you're gonna spend about $15,000 a year in rent at that same time period. So I've got $3,000 to get myself to and from work and eat. $3,000 for the whole fucking year. $3,000. You cannot live on that. It's impossible. I tried. My only thing is I had to get roommates to bring down my rent cost so that I had, instead of, spending out $15,000, have 3 roommates, and now I'm spending $5,000 for rent for the whole year. And now I've got $13,000 to live off of. Now I can sit there and live a decent lifestyle, But my coming home, it's never coming home to my home. It's coming home to a shared home. And at that time, I was the guy that slept on the couch because I was the one that came in at the very end. It was two of my buddies. They were, yeah, that sucked. That was the guy on the couch. And that was the only way that I could afford living in Chicago. No way. No flipping way to do it any other way. Especially if you want to go actually live the life, be able to go out and have a good time. Because Chicago is expensive. It doesn't matter what year time frame it was. Oh. In Canada, 1/3 of my salary goes to taxes. They are stealing from us. 100%, Gene. 100%. They that's basically how they do it here. So they tax you at about, give or take, about 17.2% tax with your income, right? Now this is where it gets kind of like, I'm like, you always kind of got to scratch your head and go, what the fuck? They tax you when you earn it. They tax you when you spend it. They tax you when you invest it. And they tax the investment when you sell it. By the time you're said and done, with all the taxation that you live life with, yeah, you're looking at least over 50% tax on the population. But because it's being done in such small little nips, you don't realize it at first. Pack of gum, tax. Fill up some gas, tax. Pay your mortgage, tax. Everything's been taxed from hell and back again. And they're still printing money because they spend it faster than they can tax it. That's where the U.S. debt, the debtclock.org is such a fantastic little tool. Because it shows, how the U.S. government is sitting there and spending money relentlessly. And they're so worried about what everybody else in the world is doing. And they're spending money in other places that we don't need to be. It's like, why does the U.S. government's military have bases all over the world? Why? That makes zero sense to me. Makes more sense to be protecting our border. But here we have military bases across, over 100 military bases across the world. And nobody sees a problem with this. Hell yeah, big Rome. Because of the manifest to save the world. Yeah. Yeah. And reshape the world into what the totalitarian aristocrats want it to be. Because that's basically what they did to Ukraine. They did to Venezuela. The CIA staged coups and got the actual leaders taken out. It's like they've had leaders executed because they didn't like their policies, because their policies were not in line with what the U.S. government wanted. It's like the U.S. is government, not the people. I mean, I love America. I'll tell you that. Fucking greatest country on the fucking planet. Our government are criminal gangbangers. Period. That's like make tar and feathering great again. I would voice every once in a while. They used to do that back in the day. Corrupt politician would get tarred and feathered back in the day. Just saying. Exactly, Kyle Rosa. The Pacific Rim is littered with U.S. bases. Hashtag and the Fed. That wouldn't even fucking solve the problem because the Federal Reserve has nothing to do with the government. It's the rich. That is the rich boy club controlling the world, and the Clinton family is one of them. Why do you think nothing happened to Bill Clinton? Yeah. Yep. Gaddafi. Yep. They assassinated the CIA assassinated Gaddafi because he wouldn't play ball. The people had free energy. Gaddafi was like more for the people than what most people thought. They thought he was a tyrannical dictator. Sure, he was, but he was also giving back to the people. The people were more prosperous under Gaddafi. These are facts. These are facts. And let's get into today's topic. USA stops Nvidia from selling its new 4090Ds, guys. Talking about US government meddling in the shit. So, Nvidia will reportedly not be allowed to export the RTX 4090D AD102 GPUs to China. They were trying to make a non-AI friendly GPU for China to use. One that would not particularly help do some of the stuff that the unadulterated 4090 would do. Now, it would be able to do like AI-driven graphics. Still have the quantum leap in performance from where they're at. Has a bunch of efficiencies. Through it, you can experience, the same gaming quality that we get to play around with. But it's supposed to, have a little bit pulled off of it so that it could not be utilized for China. Now, the big thing behind it is that they were afraid that China's going to reverse engineer it, and they're going to steal technology for themselves. And with the RTX cores in there, they're going to be able to figure it out and make the leap that they need. Now, I get it. That's something that China would do. But come on, you're trying to tell me that nobody in China has NVIDIA GPUs? What? What? It's like sitting there and saying that the black market doesn't exist. So basically, our government, of course, being delusional as it is trying to limit free commerce for posturing, because China's getting these cards no matter what. They're being sold in China. I don't care if it's black market, Alibaba, whatever. They're being sold in chickadee China, without a doubt. So the whole we're gonna put a ban to it for direct sale of it, inconvenient for China, but not a big deal. So I just think it's kind of funny. But Reuters was reporting up onto this. The U.S. government updating its regulations as the export of the chip-making tools, AI accelerators, and high-performance semiconductor chips to China. This move signifies a tightening of restrictions on recent releases, with the new rule set becoming even more stricter. Last that I knew, Taiwan is not owned by the United States, so it's kind of funny that they're getting dictated right now to what they can and can't do. Just because they're going to be like, well, if you don't do what we say, then we close our customers, our country off from buying your equipment. That's basically what you did. Again, gangbanger tactics. If you don't do this, we'll break your legs. That's basically the equivalent in business of what you're going to do. I'm going to take out a vast majority of your customers if you don't follow what we tell you you should do for your company. If you know what's best for you, you'll do the right thing, right? That's basically what China, what U.S. just did to China. Is stepped in and just played the bully. For what? I don't know. They're just basically going to inconvenience China from being able to get the cards anyway. So it's going to take them a little longer. It's too funny. The compensation for the satellite camera tech China stole a few years ago. Ugh. You know, if people are like really smart, they would make sure that the people that they're hiring into any position, especially when it's in a sensitive position, that they're really an American. Not somebody that supposedly defected from China to come live here in the United States, became a legal citizen, but you have no clue if they're really a patriot or not. Yeah. This is why we need to, like, certain things should be like natural born citizens only. And at that point, also, parents need to be natural fucking born citizens. It's not a, oh, you were born in the United States to illegal immigrant parents. No. Because you're still going to have the same concepts that the parents have. And if they're loyal to whatever country they came to, guess whose viewpoints you're going to be, that because you're a naturalized citizen, you're going to be voting for. You're going to be voting for the ideologies your parents have. And if they're here illegally, you're going to vote for things that'll make more illegals easier to come in. More ways to basically destroy America. It's an unfortunate fact. And it's a lot of the things that whenever you have more immigrants coming in and you're allowing them into sensitive positions, they need to be a lot stricter on the people that they're putting in. Now, I don't care about, oh, that's racist. No. If you're going to be put into a very sensitive position, whether it be in a private company or in a government position, you best to fucking do your fucking due diligence putting them into that position, because you need to trust them. And if you have the slightest inkling that you got a trust issue with, then you don't put that person in there. And somebody that supposedly defected from China, I would not be trusting that. They are programmed at birth through the indoctrination system that China has set up over the decades. They understand how to engineer people. Oh yeah, I'm not saying that. Not all of them. Kind of look at this from a different lens, my dude. Okay? Obama. We'll take Obama first. I don't trust the circumstances around the validity of his birthrights. That's one. You got Michigan. You have, how can I put this? You have at local government levels non-natural born citizens as local leaders. There are towns that have been infiltrated by Muslims, and the local government is ran by Muslims now. And they have put in some of the Muslim ideologies into legislation for local areas. That's bad. And then, unfortunately, Dwight D. Eisenhower, rest his soul, was correct about communists and liberals trying to take over the country, and that even there's famous people sitting there saying that a liberal is what's going to destroy the country. These are people with just weird ideologies. And they're the easiest to be influenced. The liberals are. Oh, just let people do whatever they want as long as they're not hurting nobody. It should be fine. No. That's not how it works. We have a society, we have rule sets. Then you got communists and the communists have been slowly taking over the government little by little. And now some of those communists are like, way extremist, and they turned into fascists. So you got the Bernie Sanders communist camp, and then you've got the Biden fucking freak camp. Something that was done during Nazi Germany. You had a lot of the same shit that's going on right now happening in Nazi Germany before the fall of fucking Nazi Germany. Yes, 100%. And you want to know why that they've been able to but Joe Biden. Fuck Joe Biden. Born American family, was American family, but does not have America's ideologies at all. Has some fucked up ideologies pandering in so that he can be Mr. Popular. Yep. And because we've had communists sit there and basically infiltrate all the little different areas, they've made it possible for career criminals to get into power. And if you really want to sit there and make a big difference, guys, you want to make a big difference, you want to make a change in the world, it sounds weird. Get involved with your local government, guys. Make the changes. You want to know where a lot of these freaks of politicians have come out of? A lot of them have come from school boards. You have to pay attention to the school boards, guys. That is the number one spot where they easily can get into office. Why? Because there's not a lot of competition for people trying to become the school superintendent. But you become the school superintendent and all of a sudden you can get into politics. Pay attention to your local stuff because these people have been weaseling their way into the system from the bottom up. And it's happened in with both the Republicans and the Democrats. They're now the uniparty. Kaczynski wrote some good stuff, political groups. Yeah. We all need to start looking at the local government. You guys want to make a change. We need to start doing it at the local level, guys. I was like, for the longest time, I've ignored it. And I've become a little bit more involved with it. You know, I guess it's something that old people get into because they start understanding where the problem is. And it's in the local government. And you got to remember, old people are going to vote for whoever's going to give them Medicare, Social Security, and ensure that they're always going to get a pay raise. They will always vote for that person. You'll have the people who don't give a shit. They're going to vote for whoever hounds them the most. That's going to be a Democrat. So they're going to vote. The unknowing is going to vote Democrat. It's a small group of people that are voting with concepts and ideas. Even if the ones that are voting Democrat, I mean, you got people like my mother, vote blue no matter who. It's like, how asinine is that? Oh, we have a brain dead fucking Democrat that fucking can barely do his job properly, and we're gonna vote for him anyway, even though the Republican person actually has policies that are more in line with what you like, but because your propaganda news media has told you that the Republican side is the evil bastards and you need to vote Democrat, this is why we have such weird shit. I mean, look at fucking Chicago. We got the new mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson or something like that, replacing Lori Lightfoot. We had Lori Lightfoot, who was a fucking racist, lesbian chick that ran fucking Chicago into the ground and allowed crime to get out of control. Now we got Brandon Johnson, who thinks that 100 teens rampaging through the street isn't mob action, it's misguided youth. It's fucking mob action, and they're destroying stuff and should be held accountable. Nope, they don't want to. when you have the downfall of a society, you're going to have a downfall of moral ethics. Your morals will always the society breakdown always has a drop in morals. It's the same thing that happened in Rome. As the collapse of Rome happened, outward acts of being drunk in the street became normal. Acts of sexual content in the streets started becoming normal practices. Same thing happened in Nazi Germany, and now it's happening here. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. It usually breaks down in the same way. You know, sometimes it's like like my mother. She's starting to wake up, but she's not. It's almost like I've got to sit there and put down a piece of paper of each candidate. Take what each candidate actually stands for, right? The policies that they're actually wanting to enact. Each one of these politicians, Republican and Democrat, are going to sit there and show what it is that the policies that they stand on. Put those written down, right? And then hand them to your mother. Don't tell her which one is Democrat and which one's Republican, right? Just hand it to her and tell her, pick one. One of these politicians is a great candidate. Can you, on these policies, tell me which one is the one based on policies alone you would vote for? 99% of the time, it's going to be a Republican. Now, not saying that a Democrat cannot stand for good policies too. There are good Democrats out there, just not a whole lot of them. That's the problem. I would say Democrats are in the lowest denomination for good politicians. Republicans are not much better, but they're better. You know, you're picking at this point you're picking the lesser of two evils. And sometimes the Republican in the area is about as brain dead as the Democratic one. Why? Because the Democrats are going to bolster the moron and actually get that moron elevated to try to knock out somebody that has good policies. So you've almost got to sit there and kind of watch ahead of time. There are people out there with good policies. And the games that they play will be to knock out the person with the good policies, to upvote somebody with horrible policies so that the one that they want to get voted in can stand next to them and look better. That's the game. And you got to figure it out in your area of who's playing what game and then trying to vote around that. It sucks. It sucks. I hate politics. I barely even scratch the surface of saying that I understand it. There's nuance on there that I will never understand, and it pisses you off when you try to look into it. You're like, God damn it. But again, it all starts at the local level, guys. You want to don't try to affect it on the big stage. At the federal level, you are not enough of a vote. But on the local level, you are. One vote at the local level means more than at the federal level. So if you want to affect federal policy, affect it locally. And when it's affected locally, that's when the local people get into the higher levels in government and will actually start enacting policies that are more favorable for what your community is actually looking for. Yes, immigrant mob crimes has been a problem in Europe for a decade now. 100%, Kyle. I don't pay attention too much to it, but I do know it's been happening for a hot fucking minute. And none of these governments have been really putting a stop to it. This is something that the people need to get pissed off about and put their foot down. And what this is showing the world right now is that the world has been turned into a bunch of sheep. It'll be really interesting when the people who just want to be left alone get involved, because that's when the things will get set in motion. Nemesis for president. Good God. You know, it's like, I would probably be a better candidate than a lot of these people. 100%. But at the same time, nobody would vote for me. I'm too much regular Joe Schmo. You know, it's like I'm too much of a regular person. I'm a human being and I have a past. I was 19 at, 18, 19 at one point, and I didn't think, so I made mistakes and stuff. So I mean, yeah, things happen. But I digress. But here is I had a whole bunch of stuff I wanted to go over while I was doing this, but then you guys got me sidetracked over here. It's okay. It's all good. I like the interactions because y'all guys rock. Start at home, largest union. Yeah. Unions aren't really the best either. Union brings in the same political corruption in a local level. I fucking work for a union. I work for the Teamsters. It's a fucking racket. You don't fucking need a union. It's nice when you have a union that actually looks out for the workers. Like maybe there's a union out there that isn't for shit. I don't know which one. I don't have the time to try to find one singular good union. I mean, hell, the fucking railroad union in the United States just got fucked over by the government because they're the oldest union out there, but they don't fall under the newer union, how the newer unions are set up. The train union is set up as a trade union. So you've got the conductor union, you have the maintenance workers union, you've got the there's like a whole ton of different unions within the railroad union, and they all go underneath one union, and they're backstopped by the United States. So whenever they were the railroad workers, the actual guys that are like laying out tracks and fucking driving the trains, they could be working for 6 months straight, not a single day off. And it's in their contract that they're not allowed to have a day off if they're needed, and there are no sick days. And they went on strike for it. And what did President Biden do? He fucking busted the union. Instead of backing the fucking union up, he fucking busted it. He fucking stopped it to where a small group of union one of the union branches that has the largest vote outvoted all the other and the government sided with them. And the rules don't affect that particular union. So here it is, our lovely government once again meddling in there and fucking shit up. Lashko, the company I worked for, hired 85% Vietnamese workers who would vote against us, literally making more money. Holy crap. Wow. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You're being aligned in with the company, and it's like Tyson Foods is about to do the same thing. So, guys, if you buy Tyson, we can't be friends at this point. Why? Because Tyson Foods has laid off 43,000 Americans in lieu of waiting for the illegal aliens being able to get work permits. So they fired 43,000 Americans to hire in illegal aliens. Yeah, Tyson Foods is dead to me. They just Bud Lighted themselves. So, yeah, if you guys didn't know, now you know. Do the research on it. If you don't believe me, fact check me on it. I mean, you're going to watch all these other companies doing the same thing. And then you're going to watch the wages in America plummet. And I think they think that if you do that, the wages plummet, the prices of everything will plummet too. And we're too late for that. Diluting the workforce is going to make the inflation rate worse, because now you'll have more people working, but they're making less money, so you're getting less taxes. I don't think one of these Keynesian economics really thought this one through. Really don't think so. It's a sad concept. And all these things are affecting all the prices of all the goods and services that we are relying on. This is why, you know, it's like I've got the RN Homesteading YouTube channel, so that I could sit there and show people how to do a version of sustainable living. If you guys haven't checked it out and you want to learn about a little bit about like urban homesteading or just homesteading in general, growing stuff in general, there's my the newer channel. That's me and the wife, RN Homesteading. The wife is a nurse, so she's an RN, right? And her online name is Rianne, and me being Nemesis, you know, RN Homesteading. Yo, I know, it's pretty good, right? Pretty good. I liked it. So I mean, we all need to sit there and start trying to cut expenses down somehow. And as you start learning how to live more of a minimal lifestyle, you're going to notice that you're going to be able to, you'll have more time for doing research. You'll have more time for doing investing. You'll have more time for actually getting stuff done. People are like, oh, I ain't got enough time to work out. I'm like, do you watch TV for 30 minutes? Yeah, well, if you've got plenty of time, turn the TV off. But my show, I don't care about your show. TV is just for, it's digital babysitter. Like, you look at the top wealthiest people, they don't even watch TV. They do stuff like what I'm doing. You know, where I'm always researching something. I'm figuring out how to make my dollars work for me while I'm going to sleep. That's what it's all about. It's like, what would you do if you bought your time back? That's what's going to help the world out with all of this. You know, and for me, getting into the technology side of stuff, you know, mining and staying on top of all the hardware, you know, some goofy hardware like this, bam, the ROG Modular. It looks like Thor's hammer in this rendition, but it's like portable power for gaming. First thing I thought of is like, how long can I mine on this? Is this like mobile mining on the go? Because if it is, bro, I'm down. Like, I gotta have this. Can you guess what features we're going to add to complete for your gaming experience? I'm curious to know if this is like digital, like on-the-go power, or if this is going to be like a battery bank. You know, like what I've got into my computer right now, just to kind of, if I have a power outage, it's going to help protect my computer and stuff. But ASUS is to respond to gaming community's outdoor needs with its latest announcement. The company revealed that its ROG Modular, a power station designed for gamers, will be officially unveiled at this year's Computex event. Features two USB Type A's, two USB Type C power connectors, drawing inspiration from the Norse mythology. The design of the station is reminiscent of the hammer, Thor's hammer, of course, and ASUS hasn't specifically released any of the the specifications outside of some renderings, and them saying it's not an April Fool's joke. Asus is gearing up to launch Computex 2024, scheduled to commence on June 4th. While Asus has not to confirm any press events for the Taiwanese Expo officially, it appears to be merely a formality given the impending release of various laptops and desktop related products. I would think that this would help with people that are trying to use their laptop on the go for whatever they're doing, and that's pretty much what I would think this is for. Outside of that, this thing would weigh a ton of. This thing would be like weigh some significant weight if I were to try to do this with a mining rig. You would have to have like a deep cycle battery up onto this that's producing 1,000 amp hours. It's like, oh my god, you'd be theoretically able to run it for 1,000 hours if you were running it at capacity. Not good. It's like, it more looks like a battery bank than Thor's hammer. I know, it's like a battery bank with a little stick in there. It's like got a little antenna rod on there. Oh. But yeah, it more looks like a battery backup to me. If it is portable power, then I think it's going to be geared up for tailgating or something like that. Kids want you're at a tailgate party and your kid wants to be able to game. He's now bored. He's full. Parents are getting drunk and he wants to play Minecraft. I think that's what this is for. Or if you want to be on the go and you want to watch YouTube and watch me. This will be perfect for that, I think. And then, of course, we've got new CPUs coming out. I'm kind of excited over this stuff, okay? I'm not going to lie. I'm a little excited over this. AMD Ryzen launches the 8000 series processors with integrated NPUs for industrial APIs. So I've been seeing the 8000 series come out. Right now, they've got... So these ones are going to be more of your enterprise stuff. So the embedded 86440Us. So these are going to be your low power, kind of like your mobile variant style chipsets. Their base frequencies, 4.3 gigahertz, all the way down to 3.3 gigahertz. Max frequencies are from 4.9 gigahertz to 5.1. So, you're going to have some pretty good performance, but they're going to be low core counts. So, 8 cores, 16 threads. So, you can tell that they are definitely cut down CPUs, but they're going to have a lot of potential in there. And this is going to be some of the areas of where they're going to be checking out like their AV1 encoding on the chip side of things. Because of integrated graphics onto this stuff. So, imagine having an all-in-one solution for being able to stream. So you can set up a streaming station. That's why I say this is not like your normal gaming computer, because by all means, if you're wanting something for gaming-wise, you're going to be looking at getting ready for Zen 5 architecture. So we're going to be looking at Granite Ridge CPU launch here. So, this is going to be the public variation of the 8000 series. We're going to be dealing with, not all the information has come out about every single thing, but it's going to be, the Granite Ridge is going to be a desktop, multi-chiplet, Ryzen 9000 series, 16X Zen 5 architecture CPU cores on there. Depending on your CPU lineup on there, you can have 2 compute units of RDNA 2 architecture on there. anywhere from 65 to 170 watts. So if you're getting the big bad boy one, you're going to be at 170 watts. To put it in relationship, my Threadripper here does about 180 watts, even when mining. So, a lot of these bigger chips, they're going to pull the wattage, but you're going to get a very good return off of them. Release date on the Granite Ridge side of things to be determined, probably be towards the end of this year if I were to take a stab at it, but this is going to be your Ryzen 9000 series. And everybody's going to be sitting there thinking that the 8000 series is coming out, and it doesn't look like they're doing anything outside of like CPU, like embedded devices combined with NPUs, based on the AMD XDNA architecture, which is traditional CPU and GPU elements optimized for workload versatility and adaptability, targeting industrial AI applications. That's why I don't like it seems like the 8000 series was more for efficiency for commercial or industrial applications. It looked like the 8000 series would be great to use on proof of useful work, guys. This looks like a good chip for it. But at the same time, knowing that we're going to be getting Granite Ridge here, dun dun dun, now we don't have to worry about it. And we can sit there and wait for this and see how this is going to work out. If it's got enough lanes on there, if you guys want to participate in proof of useful work, and actually having it on a newer computer that you can plug in a few GPUs into. Maybe you're not going to be the big bad boy on the block, but will this work for proof of useful work? I'm curious myself. I mean, this is a real question. Are we going to be able to use Granite Ridge for future of mining at home, especially with GPUs? And then if you're doing proof of useful work, can you mine Monero at the same time? Is that possible? Or is it really just taxing the whole system and you have to have dedicated units just for proof of useful work? Questions, major questions. And I'll get through this one, this last little article right here, guys. This one is with Ethereum. Ethereum is seeking clarity on Ethereum and digital asset rules. Let's be real, guys. Ethereum is a security. Let's be real about that. It is a security. It passes the Howey test. That's the last thing you want to pass is the Howey test. So it passes that. Its staking platform is now being looked at as a security. Yep, it's happened, guys. Now it's like, okay, with Ethereum staked, how can the SEC actually allow for an ETF to move forward? We have people that have a reasonable expectation of return. It does not pass the Howey test. So I'm not sure how they're going to really get going on this one. So it looks like a group of GOP Congress members, including the chairs of key House committees, has asked the SEC chair, Gary Gensler, for clearer rules on digital assets like Ethereum and their custody by special purpose broker dealers, SPBDs. Their March 26 letter highlights the urgency for regulators' transparency to ease compliance for the business in the digital asset sector. The lawmakers' letter underscores that the SEC's reluctance to recognize assets clarity, leaving the definition of legal assets security unclear. Despite the historical being treated as a non-security by regulators, there's worry about the lack of clear guidance from the SEC regarding SPVDs in handling such assets. So because of the fact that they started the staking on there, it's now pushed them clearly into a securities violation. They cannot be offered at this point. I think that that if they give clarity and they allow this to go through, this is going to open the door for a lot of the other Ponzi's to come through until they get burned. And then when they get burned, it's going to be all crypto bad. I think they're going to allow the floodgate to open up if they're stupid, and they're going to use this as a reason why they need to close said floodgate. I mean, they're already going after Coinbase because of their securities violations, because they are offering staking, guys. Coinbase got it to where they weren't looking at the wallet anymore, but they've still have claims against the Coinbase themselves directly, even though the judge granted Coinbase's motion to dismiss the SEC's claim against the Coinbase wallet. Coinbase wallet is not what's being sold to the people. That is a free service that Bitcoin that Coinbase operates with, but they're sitting there and going after them for their staking program and their earn program. That includes fucking Ethereum. Yep, ETH dubs equal ETH killer. And it looks like as time goes on, it looks like they're trying to tighten the ropes onto the crypto aspect, thinking it's going to affect Bitcoin, and Bitcoin keeps on being triumphant on all fronts. So that's some of the reasons why it's easier to tell people to get into Bitcoin, because at least regulators cannot do shit about Bitcoin at all. These are facts at this point. So with that being, it's with all of that, it's like I don't know where Ethereum is going to be sitting for much longer. I mean, considering that Bitcoin broke its all-time high, Ethereum fell short. It got up there pretty high, but it did not topple its all-time high. Ethereum is now putting in lower lows, or it can't really put in lower lows because it's already gone pretty damn low, but it's definitely putting in lower highs. This might be the death of Ethereum. Ethereum has just lost its relevancy. ETH dubs equal ETH killer, as Kyle Rosa says. My dude. So with that being said, guys, I think that I'm going to call it here. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Definitely smash that like button, subscribe, especially if you made it this far. Hit the bell notification, all that good stuff. You want to join the Discord, links are down below. It's free to join, guys. Love to have you part of the party. If you'd like to get some of the behind-the-scenes knowledge, get some one-on-one talkings with me, being able to get offers before, maybe something I might be selling you. Maybe you get an offer before everybody else. Maybe you want to mine some Monero, but you don't want to pay the dev fee. I have all that and more in the Patreon. Links down below if you guys want to join. If you don't, that's cool. If you do, cool. It's not a requirement, but I'm going to require you to get into the Discord. That's free. So definitely, everybody, drop those FAs in the Chizzity chat, all that good stuff, because you guys are rated F for freaking awesome, y'all. Thank you, everybody, for being here. That being said, peace out. Stay savage. May your watts be low and your hash be high. I'll see you on the next one.